And I would suggest to all of you, again, my point is that there are a number of places scattered around the Gettysburg area, outside the boundaries of the park, where men and boys died of their wounds in battle, where they were probably buried. They were not all necessarily removed after the battle, although great efforts were made by groups from the southern states to come back up to Gettysburg in the 1870s and disinter Confederate dead for subsequent reinterment at cemeteries in the South. Thousands of individuals were returned to the South in that manner, although I think most of the historians at the Park Service might agree that the likelihood is probably good that not every single burial was removed in those efforts. So that is one of the things that I constantly grapple with when I'm reviewing projects around Gettysburg. And, you know, I consult with the Park Service historians a lot whenever I see a large farm in the Gettysburg area that's being proposed for subdivision and development. It's a great challenge, my greatest challenge, in fact. As I said, these preservation laws do not guarantee that a place is going to be preserved. They guarantee that consideration will be given to the resource. And a lot of this, the nature of the consideration really depends on the good graces of the property owner. In my tenure at the Historical Museum Commission, I can think of very few cases in which an issue like a significant cultural resource, a significant historical place, has actually stopped a development from happening. One example is not too far from here in York County. There's a place about 4 miles east of the town of York known as Camp Security. This dates to the Revolutionary War. It was a prisoner of war camp for British, Hessian, and Canadian soldiers who were captured by Americans in places like Saratoga, among other places. There were actually 2 prison camps there. One was called Camp Security, which had a stockade around it for, quote, bad guys. And another camp called Camp Indulgence, which was more like an open village without a stockade around it. And it's important to keep in mind that back in the Revolutionary War, and maybe even to an extent in the Civil War, war was sometimes a family event. A lot of wives and children went along with the soldiers. And the documentary record we have from Camp Security and Indulgence suggests that. This place was a little village, sort of, you know, kind of unheard of thing. It was proposed for a residential subdivision in the late 1990s. A local grassroots organization was formed known as the Friends of Camp Security. And, you know, they have been trying to publicize the importance of this site. And one of the tools they used to do that with is an archaeological dig that was sponsored by the Historical Museum Commission and the local township in the late 1970s. Based on this archaeological dig, at least one of these campsites was found, because a lot of artifacts from the period were found, and peculiar artifacts from a prison camp. Things like a lot of coinage, silver pieces of 8, Spanish silver dollars that have been sliced up into change, if you will. When I think of a prisoner of war camp, I don't think of people having money, but when you go back to read about the written accounts of this place, there was something of a work release program for prisoners who could be trusted. They were allowed to go out in the local neighborhood and earn wages. So this is really a unique sort of place, not just in Pennsylvania history, but in American history. And when the Friends of Camp Security got out and started to spread the word about this to agencies and their local elected officials, the preservation of this place became very important, not just to everyday individuals, but more importantly, to our elected officials. Congressman Platts has taken a great interest in this. The local state representatives have. They've, in fact, issued a resolution in the Pennsylvania State House of Representatives directing all Commonwealth agencies, including the Historical Museum Commission, to do whatever must be done to see that this place gets preserved. This is almost unheard of, but it has happened in some cases. It needs to be an exceptional site. That's just one example of one of these places.
Thank you so much. Yeah, absolutely. I am looking at the time, and I know that our panelists are going to be here for a few minutes during the reception. So I encourage you all. I want to thank them very, very much for coming and for these wonderful questions. Thank you all. Please help yourself to the reception, and please come and ask our panelists direct questions. Thank you all so very, very much.